Hey guys, John Paulamy here of the Actionable Intelligence Alert. One of the readers of the blog wrote me an email and asked the question of what was the biggest stock return or the best trade that I ever had in my investing career. And I didn't have to think much about it because it was actually kind of a funny story. So back in like the late 90s, like 97, 98, I used to work at a power plant, and there was a guy working there. He was an instrument technician, and we used to talk about stocks all the time and constantly compare notes. And we were both, equally stupid and not knowing what we were doing. So I was researching companies at the time, and I came across a Canadian company called Hurricane Hydrocarbons. It was a company that bought an oil concession in Kazakhstan in the former Soviet Union. And the idea of the company was that they were going to take modern technology and capital and go there and put it into this old Soviet oil field and extract more oil from it. So unfortunately, when they started the process, the oil price crashed. As a matter of fact, I remember there was a Economist magazine article that had on the cover the death of oil or something like this. So oil prices dropped to around, I don't know, $10 or $11 a barrel or less, maybe $9 a barrel. So anyways, this guy, we started talking about this company, and I was like, man, this company really has some prospects if the oil price turns around. They have all this oil in Kazakhstan. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. And I think at the time I was selling for like 25 cents a share. The company was actually in bankruptcy. They were having some problems not only with the price of oil, but with the government in Kazakhstan and a refinery that was there that they were selling oil to. There was another issue, something around they had to rail the oil to the refinery, and the president's son owned the railroad. It was just a big mess. Well, anyways, I figured to myself, well, the prospects, the oil is there. The old Soviet records show there was like 500 million barrels of oil in place. And it was a pretty good idea to, bring modern equipment and techniques along with capital to a capital-starved area and increase the returns. Seemed reasonable. So fortunately for me, the company, Hurricane Hydrocarbons, brought in a new CEO, and he was able to negotiate away a lot of these problems with the refinery and the transport costs with the railroad and actually start developing oil. This actually coincided with the oil price actually starting to increase. So I bought like, I don't know, 5,000 shares, 10,000 shares of this. I had like two or three grand into it. So this guy, his name's Dave Mazursky, and he was actually a very kind of a character. He comes in the next day and he's like, he talked like this. Yeah, I put my whole 401k into it. I was like, what? Are you out of your mind? What do you mean you put your whole 401k? Yeah, I think it's going to go, man. This is it, And I'm like, no, Dave, how much was in your 401k? It was like $400,000. I mean, the guy, I don't know. He was just kind of crazy. And he was like, his view was like, we've talked about it, and, the case is made. I can see it's going to happen. And if it doesn't work out, I can always come back. I'm like, dude, you can't do that. That's not, back then I didn't have any clue what I was doing, but at least I knew that was stupid. So long story short, you can look this up online. You can Google Hurricane Hydrocarbons or Petro Kazakhstan, which was eventually it changed its name to. This stock actually went over like 5 years, 5 or 6 years. It came out of bankruptcy, like I said, and the stock went from like 25 cents to like $50 a share. It ended up getting bought, I believe, by the Chinese National Oil Company, and it went from 25 cents to $50. And I think along the way there was like one or two stock splits, and like special dividends got paid also. The thing was hemorrhaging cash. It just made so much cash flow once the oil price came back, and they actually started putting the new equipment in the fields and actually started, bringing that modern techniques for the extraction. And the funny thing about the story is I actually left that company soon after this thing went on, and I ended up selling the stock at about, I don't know, $4 or $5 a share. That's still a 20 bagger, but the thing ended up, like I said, going to 50. And the funny thing about it is I tried to track this guy down, and no one of our, he has no Facebook presence, no LinkedIn, no nothing. I don't know. I mean, I calculated that one time. If he actually put 400 grand in and he wrote it all the way, which I'm sure he didn't, I mean, he would have had like 20 or 30 million dollars. And he was one of these guys that, we'd sit around talking about what we would do if we hit the big time. And he's one of these guys that would say stuff like, yeah, I'm going to get an island and I'm going to get 20 or 30 women down there and a bunch of booze and cut loose. So, I mean, Dave Mazursky, if you're out there and you're floating on a sea of booze provided by the profits from your Hurricane Hydrocarbons windfall, get in touch with me because I'd be interested to hear what actually happened to you. But that was the biggest hit I ever had. It was like a 20 bagger over like 3 or 4 years, and I didn't hold on. So the lesson, there's actually a lesson here, I guess. We were talking about it in a previous video about when to sell. And I think the thing to do on something like that is, it's a perfect example. You don't know how far it's going to go up. You don't know what the end is or what the ultimate outcome is going to be. So the prudent thing to do is, like I said, if you are kind of a nervous Nelly or you get anxiety, when you get your original investment back and you get a double, take down half your money, and now you have your original capital back. Then you have, the ability to just watch the company. If it continues to move higher, if it doubles again, take down another 20%. If it doubles again, you come up with some methodology where as it continues to double or continues to move higher, you're taking money, you're peeling away profits. So what you don't want to do, I mean, the chances of that happening again, that was like a once in a lifetime or once in a 100-year event. It's very difficult. That was pure luck. There was no skill involved in that trade or that transaction. But, the ability to ride that thing up from, $25 to $50, 25 cents to $50 a share, I mean, that was unbelievable. So that's kind of the lesson, and I like to reiterate that. It was kind of a funny story, and but that shows you that you got to have a plan, even, when you buy, why you're buying a stock, what the reasoning is, what the rationale is, but also what's my sell point? Why am I selling now? And like I said before, make a journal, write down in a journal, trading journal, investing journal. This is why I'm buying this company because of X, Y, and Z factors. Review it every quarter. If the factors are no longer in place, then the stock has to be sold. Same point, if the stock continues to go up, have a sell strategy where you are capturing the profits and harvesting profits as the stock moves higher. So you're not lamenting, well, I sold too early or whatever. I mean, if you are selling, if you go through 300, 400, 500% increases, you've peeled off a little bit all along the way. You should have a pretty good, you should have harvested quite a bit of profit. So we never know how high a stock's going to go, and that's one of the hardest things to do is determine when to sell. You're not going to catch the top. Don't think you're always going to catch the top. It's just not going to happen. So I thought that story was pretty interesting. I hope that answered the question of the person that wrote in, but it also, I think, is indicative of a lesson that we've talked about before of when to sell and how to sell and to get the maximum return on a sell. So hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe. I appreciate the support. The channel keeps growing, and we'll talk to you on Sunday. Should be having a video and some articles about cobalt, which is really going nuts lately. So hope to get that out this weekend. We'll talk to you then. Thanks.